electric flux density. So what is this flux? You should know first. So flux is nothing but it is the amount of electric field that passes through a surface. Whatever the amount of electric field that passes through a particular portion or a surface is called flux. So once you know the meaning of flux, you can define electric flux density, which is denoted by capital D. So what is flux? Flux is the amount of electric field that passes through a surface in a given instant of time is called as electric flux. So electric flux density is the ratio of the flux divided by area. And flux is denoted by which symbol? Psi. And area is taken as A. So the unit for electric flux density will be coulomb per meter square. And all of you should know, according to Gauss law, flux and charge both are equal. So the unit for flux will remain same as that of the charge, that is coulomb only. So flux density is measured in terms of coulombs per meter square. Understood? So what is the flux here? Flux is the electric field that passes through a particular portion or some amount of information that passes through a surface or a medium is called as flux. So hence you know the flux, you can define flux density as flux upon area. So flux is denoted by the symbol psi and area you can write it as A. So the unit will be coulomb per meter square. Next you have to relate the flux and flux density, how both are related to each other. So if you want to define this electric flux density in terms of differential flux by differential area also you can define. So it is d psi by ds. So what is flux? It is flux upon area. That can also be defined as differential flux by differential area. So d psi is the differential flux. The corresponding area where this flux flows is ds. So if you cross multiply this, the value of d psi will become d into ds. And dds is a scalar quantity. In the first class I told you scalar is nothing but dot product of two vectors. So instead of writing dds, that can also be written as vector d dot ds. Understood? So dds is what? It is a scalar quantity. So that scalar can also be denoted as dot product of two vectors, that is d dot ds. And once you get d psi value, if you want total psi that passes through the entire area, you can integrate on both the sides. So LHS becomes what? Integral of d psi is psi. RHS is ds here. That means it's surface integration. So when you write the symbol for integration, for surface you should write S. For volume you should write V, and for line it is denoted as L. So integrating the above equation, LHS will become psi, RHS will become surface integral of d dot ds. So this is the relation between flux and flux density. So flux is measured in what? Coulombs, and it is a scalar quantity. Understood? So how do you define flux here? Flux is the amount of field that passes through a portion. If you define flux density, it is flux upon area. Flux is denoted by psi and it is equal to charge, so the unit is coulomb. So D is expressed in coulomb per meter square. The flux density can also be defined in terms of differential flux upon differential area. So d psi by ds. If you cross multiply, d psi will become dds. Since dot product of two vectors is a scalar product, dds is a scalar, so you can write it as what? Vector d dot ds. And total, if you want, you need to integrate on both the sides. So psi is equal to surface integral of d dot ds. You should know if it is ds, integration should be denoted by s, that is double integration. Line dl means it is single integration. If it is dv, that is volume, means triple integration. And the unit for flux is coulomb and it is a scalar quantity. This is the relation between flux and flux density. Next, you should obtain the relation between electric field intensity E and electric flux density D. Listen here. So what is E and D? How they are related to each other? Actually, both are same. Only the extra terms what we use is based on the dielectric medium wherever it is placed. We are multiplying it by a dielectric constant epsilon. So E will be epsilon into D always. So electric flux density is epsilon times E that you need to derive it. In order to derive with respect to sphere, we are going to derive this equation. So consider a sphere in the figure is shown. At the center of the sphere, you place a charge of q coulombs, and the radius of the sphere is taken as r meters. And due to this q coulombs, let us find first the field at outside the sphere at point P, which is at a distance r. So what we are deriving here, what is the relation between field intensity and flux density? So in order to derive this, you consider a sphere. With its center, we have a charge of qt, and the radius of the sphere is assumed to be capital R. Due to the charge q at the point P at a distance r, small r, at the outside of the sphere, you calculate the field first. So we'll write the field in magnitude form. So the field at point P due to q is what? You know the expression for field, it is q by 4 pi epsilon r square, right, in magnitude form. Then instead of calculating the field at the point P, if you calculate the same field on the surface of the sphere, what will happen? The distance small r will change to capital R. So the field on the surface of the sphere will become q by 4 pi epsilon capital R square. That is denoted in second equation. So you have to find the field at the point P first. You'll get first equation, and then we are shifting the field on the surface of the sphere. So you'll get the second equation. Then we are going to define rho s. So I told you in the last class, rho s is what? All the three densities we have taught. That is line charge density, surface charge, and volume charge density. So surface charge density is charge upon area. So what is the charge present in the sphere? It is Q. And all of you should know area of the sphere is 4 pi r square. So the value of rho s will become charge is Q and area will become 4 pi r square. That is definition for rho s that is applied for the sphere. Then after calculating rho s, we need to find what is D. So what is happening in the sphere here? Whatever the field we are calculating, that is electric flux density or field intensity, is normal to the surface of the sphere. Since it is normal to the surface of the sphere, the value of flux density and surface charge density will always be equal. Understood? So the fields is normal to the surface, hence the value of D will be equal to rho s here. So D to rho s. Rho s you got from equation 3 is q by 4 pi r square. From that we can calculate D value. Understood? So now after calculating D, this equation 4 is substituted in equation 2. What you have? Q by 4 pi r square is nothing but D. So in the equation 2 it becomes E is equal to D by epsilon it becomes. So you need to substitute what? 4 in equation 2. So Q by 4 pi r square will become D and epsilon will be there in the denominator, that will be retained as it is. So we get E is equal to D by epsilon. And if you cross multiply this, D is equal to epsilon into E. So since D and E are the vector quantities, we are going to express in the vector form, that is vector D is equal to epsilon into E vector. So this equation 5 gives you what? The relationship between electric field intensity and electric flux density. It is just a multiplier of the dielectric constant epsilon. Understood? So what will be the expression for D now? It is epsilon into E means the D will become Q by 4 pi R square into AR in the vector form you can write. And the unit is Coulomb per meter square because it is flux upon area, that is Coulomb per meter square. So this is the relation between electric flux density and electric field intensity. Understood? So once again I'll repeat here. So what we are calculating here, how the field intensity and flux density are related to each other. So in order to derive this, we are considering the sphere in which a charge of q coulombs is placed at its center and the radius of the sphere is taken as r. Due to this q coulombs, at the point P, we first calculate the field. So we have done the field expression in the last class. So it will become what? Q by 4 pi epsilon r square. And instead of calculating at P, if I shift the point P on the surface of the sphere, the field on the surface of the sphere becomes Q by 4 pi epsilon capital R square you get. Then you define the surface charge density. Surface charge density, all of you know it is charge upon area. And charge is Q, which is placed at the center. And we know area of the sphere is 4 pi R square. So rho S will become Q by 4 pi R square here. Then after calculating this rho S, you need to define how this rho S and electric flux density are related. Since whatever field you're calculating in this figure, it is normal to the surface of the sphere. Since it is normal to the surface of the sphere, what happens? D is equal to rho S it becomes. So whatever rho S you calculated above, that will be equal to D value. After calculating E and D for the sphere, you can substitute 4 in equation 2. So if you substitute 4 into what happens here? Q by 4 pi R square will become D divided by epsilon. So cross multiply, you get D is equal to epsilon into E. Since D and E are in vector form, is a vector quantity, so you can represent as vector D is equal to epsilon into E vector. So equation 5 gives what? The relationship between flux density and field intensity. So in this derivation, so many MCQs can be asked. What is that? How do you relate D and rho S? What is the condition that D and rho S be equal? First thing, and what is the area of the sphere? And then what is the relationship between D and E? Either in magnitude form they can ask or in vector form. And finally, we are arriving at the expression for D. So D becomes what in terms of charge? It was Q by 4 pi R square into AR. And the unit is Coulomb per meter square. So this is about the relationship between electric field intensity and electric flux density. Next very important law is the Gauss law. So this is the second law we are studying. First we studied Coulomb's law and this is Gauss law. So all of you have written the assignment. What are the applications of Gauss law? So you'll be knowing it. Now what is this used for? So if you want to evaluate the flux that is present in a closed area in terms of charge, you can use Gauss law. That is, Gauss law states whatever the electric flux that is enclosed by a closed surface, that is always equal to charge in the same surface. So flux and charge are always equal according to the Gauss law. So in order to prove this Gauss law, that is psi is equal to Q, here same thing you have to consider a sphere here or a closed surface we take. So you consider a closed surface. The area of that is taken as S meter square. You can see the figure, I guess. At point O, we are placing the charge of Q coulombs first at the center of the closed surface. Due to this QC, we are going to calculate the field at the point P, which is at a distance R. So you know, all of you, field due to point charge, you write that. E is equal to what? Q by 4 pi epsilon r square into AR. Then we have arrived that D is what? Epsilon into E. And if you multiply this E by epsilon, you'll get D value. So at the center of this closed surface, you have to place a charge of Q coulombs. Due to this Q coulombs, at point P, we are finding the field which is at a distance R. So E is Q by 4 pi epsilon R square into AR. And once after calculating E, you convert to D by using the relation D is equal to epsilon into E, you'll get the first equation. Then we need to calculate the flux here. So we have derived the relation between flux and flux density is what? In the last derivation you did not. So it is psi is equal to surface integral of D dot ds. So that relation we are inside this closed surface, that is ds. What is that area? That is ds. That is the differential solid angle of this ds. ds and join this ds. Then what are these vectors shown in the figure? The electric field vector is at point P, you're calculating now. That unit vector is AR, and the ds area is, ds unit vector is AN, that is shown above. So AR is the unit vector for the field and AN is the unit vector for the area ds. So between these two vectors, we are framing an angle that is taken as theta. Understood? So what is the first thing? At point O, you are placing the charge of Q. At a distance R, first we calculate the field at point P. Then from the field, we are calculating the flux density D. Then we need to write the expression for the flux and flux density. Psi is equal to surface integral of D dot ds. We got the value for D from first equation. ds you need to calculate. So how does ds defined in the figure here? So at the point P, we have to consider a small differential area ds and join these two ends of the ds to the O. It forms an angle that is differential solid angle d ohms. And we have two unit vectors here. One is AR is the field vector. Another one is AN, that is the unit vector for ds. And angle between AN and AR is taken as theta. After defining this in the figure, what will happen here? From the figure you can write ds is what? ds into AN. That is the area you have defined at point P is magnitude is ds and the unit vector is AN. So ds vector will be ds into AN. After defining the electric flux density and the corresponding area from equation 1 and 3, if you see, you calculated both. 1 and 3 should be substituted in 2. So what happens here? D is what? Q by 4 pi r square into AR dot ds is defined as ds into AN. And then in the dot product, you know how to write all the magnitude value should be written first. That is Q ds by 4 pi r square is written first. Then AR dot AN is written. So magnitude should be kept aside and then the dot product is only for the unit vectors. Understood? So you need to simplify the above, you'll get this fourth equation. And you know the dot product in the first class I told you, the dot product of two vectors is what? Magnitude of first, magnitude of second into cos theta. Magnitude of unit vectors is 1, so this will be equal to cos theta. So AR dot AN will be equal to cos theta here. So in this equation, Q by 4 pi you can remove outside the integral. Remaining term left is ds cos theta by r square will be there. What is this term? ds cos theta by r square is called the differential solid angle that is obtained at the point O due to that small area ds. So ds cos theta by r square overall term will be equal to d ohms. So we can replace in the above integral as ds cos theta by r square, which is the differential solid angle that is subtended at the point O due to the small area ds at a distance r. So if you substitute it, psi will become q by 4 pi integral of d ohms. And all of you should know the total angle of the sphere is always equal to 4 pi. So integral of d ohms is the solid angle. The total angle will be equal to 4 pi. So 4 pi will get cancelled. So you get flux is equal to charge. So finally, we are proving electric flux is always equal to the charge enclosed by the same surface according to the Gauss law in electrostatics. Understood here? So all of you should keep in mind whenever we want to arrive the expressions, previous concept is always used. So before coming to the class, you have to revise once and come. So I hope all of you understood how to derive Gauss law in electrostatics here. So what is the statement? So Gauss law states the electric flux enclosed by a closed surface is always equal to the charge in the same surface. That is, psi is equal to q. This is the statement of the Gauss law. So psi is what? Electric flux. In order to derive this Gauss law, you consider an area or a sphere of s meter square, and at point O you need to place a charge of q coulombs. Due to this q coulombs at the point P at a distance r, first you calculate the field. What is the field? Q by 4 pi epsilon r square into AR. Once you calculate E, what you should find? D, that is epsilon into E. If you do, you'll get the value for D. Then you know the relationship between flux and flux density. So psi is equal to what? Surface integral of d dot ds. So we have calculated here, and we need to define this ds, that is differential surface. ds you need to define. In order to define what you're considering here, at the point P as the center, we consider a small area ds. Understood? So this area ds at its end is joined to the point O. At the point O, it makes an angle of d ohms, that is called as differential solid angle. And with respect to point P, what you have? Point P, you're calculating the field. So the unit vectors at point P, you have AR is 1 and another one is AN, that is the unit vector of this differential area ds. The angle between AR and AN is taken as what? Theta here. So once you define that in the figure, you can write the value for ds as from the figure. ds vector will become magnitude ds into unit vector an. Once you define the value of d and ds, you can substitute in equation 2. So put 1 and 3 in 2 here. Then you separate magnitude part and unit vector ar dot an, you should write it separately as shown in equation 4. Then you know what is the dot product of two vectors. What it is? It's the magnitude of first, magnitude of second into cos theta, and magnitude. So AR dot AN will finally become equal to cos theta here. So this dot product value is substitute back in 4. You'll get the equation below for psi. And in this, you can remove q by 4 pi outside and remaining terms you keep inside the integral. What are those? ds cos theta by r square is kept inside the integral. And here this ds is what? It's a differential area and it subtend an angle what? D ohms at the point O at a distance r. So what we can define here is ds cos theta by r square is nothing but a differential solid angle d ohms. So all these three terms can be changed to d ohms here. And since you're considering a sphere, the differential angle of the sphere is always equal to 4 pi. So integral of d ohms is always equal to 4 pi, or total angle of the sphere is always 4 pi. So replace this angle by 4 pi. 4 pi gets cancelled. You get flux is equal to charge. So this is the proof of the Gauss law. I hope all of you understood how to state the Gauss law, how to represent it mathematically, that is psi is equal to q, and how to derive the Gauss law. Next, you need to derive the same Gauss law in the point form. So in the point form or differential form, you need to derive. This Gauss law in point form or differential form is also given another name, that is Maxwell's first equation. So Maxwell's first equation is also called what? The Gauss law in the point form or differential form. So in order to derive this, we'll take the concept of Gauss law itself. So what does Gauss law states? Flux is equal to charge enclosed by the same surface. So that is the statement. Here charge is Q usually, but instead of Q, we can assume the charge to be delta Q. So psi will be equal to delta Q here. And we know what is psi relation. Psi is equal to surface integral of d dot ds, that is flux and flux density relation we know. So that is denoted in equation 2. From 1 and 2, if you see, LHS is same, so you can equate the RHS values. So what does it becomes? Surface integral of d dot ds will be equal to delta q. Then you need to divide both sides by delta v and then take limits as delta v tends to 0. So what you should take here? Gauss law you have to assume. Then the charge q is taken as delta q, and psi, another expression for psi q in as into wait. Then you have to divide both sides by what? Delta v, and take limits as delta v tends to 0. So what happens after taking limits here? The LHS, whatever you have, that is called as divergence d. That is flux upon volume you have. So flux upon volume is called as divergence d. And delta q by delta v, if you apply limits, what happens for that? It becomes dq by dv. Understood? So LHS is flux upon volume is divergence of electric flux density dr, and delta q by delta v, if you apply limits as delta v tends to 0, it becomes dq by dv. Then we know charge upon volume is what? It's volume charge density. So we can write it as rho v as shown in equation 3. So first you need to prove divergence d is always equal to rho v here. Then we need to prove that Maxwell's equation now. Now you consider divergence d in Cartesian form. What does divergence means? Divergence is nothing but splitting of a component. So we are going to split this d along 3 axes, that is x, y and z axis. So splitting a component into different values is called as divergence. So divergence d, I'm going to split it along x, y and z axis, and all of you should know in Cartesian form, divergence d is given as what? Dou dx by dou x plus dou dy by dou y plus dou dz by dou z. So this is divergence d in Cartesian form. Then you write the del operator in Cartesian. So all of you know del, how to write, I feel. Dou by dou x ax plus dou by dou y ay plus dou by dou z az. And write d in Cartesian form. Then you need to calculate the dot product between del and d. So what happens in the dot product here? If you expand, you get 9 terms. In that, only 3 terms will be retained, because in the dot product, what you have? Ax dot ax is 1, ay dot ay is 1, az dot az is 1. Rest all the terms become 0. So if you take dot product of del dot d, it becomes dou dx by dou x plus dou dy by dou y plus dou dz by dou z. So expand both of them, you'll arrive at this fifth equation. So del dot d is nothing but what? If you compare 4 and 5, it is divergence d. So from equation 4 and 5, we can conclude divergence d is also equal to del dot d. So after arriving this divergence d as del dot d, you substitute back in equation 3. What is divergence D approved? It is equal to del dot D, that is equal to rho V. This equation 6 is called Gauss law in point form or differential form, or it is also called as one of the Maxwell's equation in point form. I hope all of you understood how to arrive at this. So this is another form of Gauss law itself, and it is also one of the Maxwell's equation. So Maxwell's equations, you have 4 types, 4 in differential form and 4 in integral form. In the later chapters, you will be studying that. This is the first Maxwell's equation we are deriving. So it is derived by using Gauss law concept. Understood? Once again, I'll repeat your listen. According to Gauss law, we have flux is equal to charge. The charge is taken as delta Q. That is equation 1. And flux density is related by what? Psi is equal to surface integral of d dot ds. That is second equation. 1 and 2, if you equate, you'll get this value. Then you need to divide both sides by delta V and apply limit as tends to 0. So what is LHS become? Flux upon volume, that is divergence D. RHS is nothing but dq by dV. dq by dV is volume charge density, so that can be denoted as rho V. So we proved divergence D is equal to rho V first. Then what is this divergence D is also equal to, you need to prove. So divergence is what? Splitting of the electron I plus dou dz by dou z. This is in Cartesian form. And in cylindrical, what are the points? You know it is rho, phi and z. So the divergence in cylindrical form, you should know how to read it. So how do you read this equation? 1 by rho, dou by dou rho of rho into d rho plus 1 by rho, dou d phi by dou phi plus dou dz by dou z. So this is the divergence in cylindrical, and in spherical we use r theta phi. So write the corresponding equation which is shown. So all these 3 divergence you need to learn, as well as you have to remember the formulas also. So in this also MCQs can be any of the divergence they can give which belong to which coordinate system you need to identify, or if they may ask you to write the divergence in respective coordinate systems. Next theorem what you need to study is divergence theorem. Why we need this divergence theorem? So you know divergence is splitting. So we have developed a theorem here because in the physics, whenever we use physics concepts, so we need to convert the integrals from one form to another form. For example, in this theorem, we are converting a vector quantity surface integral to divergence of its volume integral, or volume integral is converted to surface integral. So in order to do the conversions from one form to another form in surface and volume, we are using this theorem. So what this theorem states, since we are arriving for electric flux density, let us apply this theorem for electric flux density itself. So what does it state? It states that the surface integral of the electric flux density is always equal to the volume integral of its divergence. So what does it state? The surface integral of electric flux density is equal to the volume integral of its divergence. So that is the statement. So mathematically it is given by, I have written the equation here. So what are the integrals? Surface and volume, you can convert from one form to another using this Gauss law. Sorry, using this divergence theorem. So once again, in order to derive this theorem, we are using Gauss law again. So simple equation it is. What is Gauss law? Flux and charge are equal. So you write that psi is equal to Q. And you know flux and flux density relationship is what? Psi is equal to surface integral of d dot ds. That is second equation. Then we know what is volume charge density. So what is volume charge density? dq by dv. If you cross multiply, what you get? This is dq, not q, sorry. dq will be rho v into dv. Then if you integrate, you will get q. Listen here, some mistake is there. Volume charge density rho v is what? dq by dv. If you cross multiply, you get dq, not q. Then you integrate, q will be integral rho v into dv. So q can also be expressed as what? Integral of rho v into dv. And then now from second and third equation, you can substitute back in 1. And 3, if you substitute back in 1, you'll get the fourth equation here. After getting this fourth, you have derived the Maxwell's first equation. What is rho v? Rho v is nothing but del dot d. So you can replace rho v by del dot d. So that will result in sixth equation. So this sixth equation is nothing but divergence theorem that is obtained using Gauss law. Understood? So what is the statement of divergence theorem? The surface integral of electric flux density is always equal to the volume integral of its divergence. How do we prove this? From Gauss law, we have flux is equal to charge, and then flux and flux density is related as shown in equation 2. Then volume charge density you need to define and find what is Q. So Q is volume integral of rho v into dv, that will be third. So 2 and 3 substituted back in 1, that will result in fourth equation. And we have derived from Maxwell's first equation in point form is what? Del dot d is equal to rho v. So put 5 and 4, you'll get the sixth equation. So this is the proof of divergence theorem. So now we studied 3 things. What are those? What we studied till now? First one, what is electric flux density definition? How do you define electric flux density first? And how field intensity and flux density are related to each other. Third one is Gauss law derivation. Then Gauss law in point form or Maxwell's first equation, how do we derive? And next is the divergence theorem concept, where it is used, why it is used mainly you should know for the conversion of the integrals, and this is arrived from Gauss law once again. So once you know all these concepts, you can solve some problems on this. See, I told you. So in order to solve these problems, basic integration and differentiation you should know. Not in detail, only the basic parts you should know. To calculate the divergence, you should know the differentiation. To calculate either the flux or the charge, we should know the integrations. Basic integrations you should know. So listen here. What is the first problem stated here? We need to calculate the electric flux that passes through the portion. Understood? So there is some area. That area is defined in Cartesian coordinate system where x is equal to 3 meters. That is, x remains constant for that area and y is varying from -1 to 2 and z varies from 0 to 3. So we are having a portion in which that portion is having x remains constant. It is varying along which direction? Only y and z. So that is the area along what? X direction with y and z varying. So in that portion, there is some amount of flux density is passing there. So what is that electric flux density is given by D in Cartesian. So whenever they give an area and a flux density, you need to calculate what is the electric flux that is present in that particular portion you need to calculate. Understood? So what is defined here? We need to calculate the electric flux that passes through a portion That portion is defined with having x constant and y and z as variable, and the electric flux density that is passing through the portion is specified here. So you draw that area first. So now if you observe the statement, the y and z is varying means we should write the area parallel to y-axis and z-axis. So this is the front face of the differential volume. I told you in a coordinate system, three areas will be there: x-axis, y-axis, and z-axis. So according to the statement, if you take, it is front face of the differential volume. So it is parallel to what side? It is parallel to y and z. So the sides will be dy and dz. And x is constant. So inside that you write x is equal to 3. Now you need to calculate flux here. So what is flux given by? You have derived. It is surface integral of d dot ds you have derived. So psi is equal to surface integral of d dot ds. D is given in the problem. Now ds you need to define. What is ds here? It is an area along what direction? Since the sides are dy and dz, it is the area along x direction in Cartesian form. This you should know. When I told you in the coordinate systems, you should study that also clearly. So ds in this statement will become dsx. So the area will be length into breadth, that is dy dz into unit vector ax. Then write the expression for psi. Psi is surface integral of d dot ds. In this case, ds is what? dsx. Now d is given in the problem in Cartesian form. You fill that value. Dot, what is the area? Dy dz into ax. Now it is surface integration means it is double integration, you should know. So you need to integrate twice. What are the variables given? Y varies from what? -1 to 2, and z is varying from 0 to 3. So you need to write double integration with respect to y as well as z. Then you know how to expand the dot products, no? Ax dot ax is 1, ay dot ax will be 0, az dot ax will be 0. So if you expand this, what you get? 2xy dy into dz, ax dot ax will become 1. Rest two terms will become 0. So you'll get the integral to be double integral 2xy dy into dz. Understood? Now you integrate it. Before integrating, they have given x value is how much? 3. So replace x by 3 here. So it will become 2 into 3, 6. You remove outside, separate y term and z term and integrate. So integral of y is what? Y square by 2. Integral of dz is z. Apply the limits. You'll get the flux to be 27 coulombs that is passing through that particular portion. Understood? So you need to find what? The electric flux that passes through a portion where x is equal to 3, y and z are varying, and the electric flux density d. So use this basic equation, whatever you have derived. Psi is integral of d dot ds, and the area according to the figure is equal to dsx, that is dy into dz ax. Substituted, find the dot product of those two, and you should know the dot product table. Same direction dot product is always 1, different direction is 0. According to that you expand. Then ds means how many times you should integrate? Twice, and they have given limits in the problem. Before integrating, x is given 3, substitute that x value and then you integrate. What is the basic integration used here? Integral of d into dy is y square by 2. Integral of dz is z. So this is an problem to find flux by using double integration. In the same way, you can calculate the charge that is present in a differential volume by doing triple integration here. This concept remains the same. Only thing here, for charge we need to do triple integral, and to find flux you need to do double integral. So what is asked in the second problem here? They have given a differential cube, or it is a cube in which, sorry, differential cube having, you need to calculate what is the total charge enclosed by that cube. X, Y, Z, all three are varying, and the electric flux density in that particular portion is specified in Cartesian coordinate. So what you should calculate, D is given and the cube sides they have given, which is varying. For this D and the variables X, Y, Z, you need to calculate the total charge. So there is a formula, Q is equal to what? Integral of rho V into dV we have derived. What is rho V? Del dot D, that is Maxwell's first equation. So use that equation here. Q is integral of volume integral of del dot D into dV. Now you need to calculate divergence D for the given D. See, I'll tell you one divergence how to find. The same thing is applicable for spherical as well as cylindrical. So how to calculate divergence for the given D? So write the given D and compare that with the standard form, that is in Cartesian. So 3 and 2, if you compare, what is dx? Dx is 4x, dy is 3y square, and dz is 2z cube. If you do the differentiation along x direction, first one, what is 4x differentiation? It is 4. Then dy, if you differentiate with y square is 2y, so it will become 6y. And z cube differentiation is 3z square, so it is dou dz by dou z will become 6z square. Understood how to find divergence? Whatever d is given, you write that first and compare it with the standard form, that is in Cartesian is given here. So you'll get the three components dx, dy and dz. Write the divergence formula. According to the divergence formula, what you should do, all the terms should be differentiated. First one with respect to x, second one with respect to y, and third one with respect to z. After differentiating all these, you substitute back in the del dot D equation. So what is that? 4 plus 6y plus 6z square. That is the divergence value you get. And then you need to define what is dV. dV is what? Differential volume. So it is length, breadth and height now. So what is dV in Cartesian form? dx dy into dz. So after defining this divergence and dV, you can calculate the corresponding charge by substituting in equation 1. So put 4 and 5 in equation 1 here. So I told you it is volume integral. So you need to integrate how many times? 3 times you need to integrate. The limits they have given in the problem, x varies from 0 to 1, y is from 1 to 2, z is from 2 to 3. Understood? So each term you need to separate and do triple integration for all the terms. You will get the charge. So here also, how do you do integration? Separate x, integral of dx is x, dy is y, dz is z, like that. To separate x, y, z terms and show the integration for each. So triple integral is used to calculate the charge enclosed in a cube. I hope all of you understood. So what is the statement here? You need to calculate the charge that is enclosed by a cube x, in which x, y and z are defined as, and having a flux density of d is equal to so on. So there is a relation between flux density and Q. So Q is integral of rho V into dV, but rho V is what? Del dot D. So you'll arrive at the first equation. So what in the first equation you need to calculate? Divergence of the D, that is del dot D, and dV you need to express. Then both of that you need to multiply and integrate thrice. So how to find divergence here? Write the D in the given problem, and since it is Cartesian, you write the standard form of the Cartesian. So if you compare, what you get, dx is 4x, dy is 3y square, dz is 2z cube. According to the divergence in Cartesian form, you need to differentiate dx with respect to x, dy with respect to y, and dz with respect to z. So do not differentiation here and then put all the values you get. So you need to calculate the total charge that is enclosed by a cube here. So you need to find what? Divergence first, then dV in Cartesian form is dx dy dz. Do triple integration by applying the limits given, then you will get the value of charge to be 51 coulombs here. So this is how to find a charge for a given cube. Then rest three problems you have, it is a simple one. Just you need to find divergence at a particular point which is specified. First one, divergence. If you want to find d is in Cartesian form, the corresponding point is 1, 2, minus 1. So this procedure is same for all. One I'll tell you. First one, I told you in the before problem, Cartesian remains same as previous one. You can do. Concentrate on the cylindrical here. So D is given in cylindrical. So write the solution D, that is standard form D in cylindrical is what? D rho A rho plus D phi A phi plus DZ AZ. So what is D rho? If you compare, it is 2 rho. D phi is 3 cos phi and DZ is 2 rho into Z. Then according to equation 1, you need to differentiate. Yeah, listen properly. So many of them doesn't know to do differentiations. They will start from outside. It's differentiation if you do from the inside part here. What you should do, D rho you have already defined, that should be multiplied by rho. First step. Then you need to differentiate with respect to rho and then you need to multiply it by 1 by rho. So d rho is 2 rho, multiply by rho means it will become 2 rho square. If you differentiate, what happens? It will be 4 rho and then so on. Same thing for second term. D phi you define, then what you should do? Differentiate with respect to phi. What is differentiation of cos phi minus sin phi? Then multiply by 1 by rho. Last term is dz. Differentiation of dz is what? Dou dz by dou z will become z. Differentiation is 1. It will be 2 rho. So each term is differentiated according to equation 1, not normal differentiation. Don't differentiate d rho, d phi, dz with respect to rho phi z. This is not Cartesian. This is a cylindrical form. According to the formula, you need to differentiate. Whether it is multiplied or divided by anything, according to that you do. After doing according to the equation, substitute all back in one, you'll get the divergence. And in this problem, they have given the point P. So point P is in cylindrical because middle is the angle. Rho phi z is given. The rho phi z value, if you substitute, you will get a numerical value for the divergence. Same thing you can apply for spherical also. So what are the variables in spherical? R theta phi you should do. Divergence, first you write in the spherical form. Then D, whatever they have given, you compare with spherical. So what you get here? You get dr to be r cube, d theta is 2 cos theta, d phi is r sin theta. Then according to the formula, you differentiate. So dr is multiplied first by what? R square. So multiply by R square. I have shown you step by step. You can follow that. Then you need to differentiate by R, then multiply by 1 by R square. Second term d theta is multiplied by what? Sin theta. And here you can see 2 cos theta into sin theta. There is an equation called what? Sin 2 theta. You can use that for differentiation. Otherwise, you have to apply product rule to differentiate it. So 2 cos theta sin theta is what? Sin 2 theta you convert and then do the differentiation. So what is sin 2 theta differentiation? It is cos 2 theta into 2, differentiate it and do according to the formula. So these are the three different types of divergence that we are calculating for a given value of D at a particular point. So I hope all of you understood what are the basic problems here, 5 problems.